Good afternoon. Welcome to Project Review Committee for April 16, 2025. We're going to go ahead and start today's meeting at 1:41 p.m. Welcome. First off, I'm going to go ahead and do roll call here from city staff, starting with myself, Oscar Cepeda, the chairperson, and also the associate planner within the planning division. We're joined by Jeff O'Neill, our city planner. Also joining us is Rocio Mejia, our assistant planner. Eric Keller also joins us as our planning technician. From the engineering division, we're joined by Javier Sanchez as our engineering and project management director. From the fire department, we're joined by Clayton Dignam as our fire marshal. And public works, we're joined by Robert Alvarez as our field services manager. We're also joined by Brianna Spry as our field services superintendent with refuse. Also from Public Works, we're joined by Joe Baeza as our field services superintendent streets. From the police department, we're joined by Mark Azevedo as our police department lieutenant. And from the building division, we're joined by James Wickersham. And that is all from city staff. So next, we're going to go ahead and open oral communications. This is the opportunity for public members to address the committee on any matter related to project review. Being no members of the public here in person, are there any members of the public joining us online that would like to address the committee on any matter related to project review? Hearing no comments, I'm going to go ahead and close oral communications. So for project review committee agenda, we have one item, which is PRC 2025-020. Let me share my screen here. Right. The applicant is proposing the development of two new commercial buildings at 1432 West Olive. The total square footage of the combined buildings is 8,900 square feet, with building one proposed at 4,400 square feet. Building number two proposed at 4,500 square feet. The zoning for the property is general and service commercial. It also has a general plan land use designation of general and service commercial. Currently, this property is one single lot. With the addition of new commercial buildings, it would be considered a commercial center. So therefore, there's going to be some requirements on the project to comply with. For example, pedestrian connectivity between the buildings, having a cohesive articulation between all of the buildings. In addition, there's going to be four-sided architecture, vehicular circulation, making sure it doesn't conflict with pedestrian walkways, entry plazas, possibly depending on the tenants, on the use of those spaces. Do we know if those commercial buildings, is it going to be one use or is it going to be multiple units? Do we have that information at this time?
The one unit right there in the back is going to be for my personal use. That one.
Okay.
And then the other unit. The other unit in the back right there, or in the front. Right now, there's mechanic there. He's just moving in the back right there.
Something that the staff would have to make a determination is due to the square footage of the new project, it will trigger a preliminary environmental review. At this time, we can't make a determination that we could possibly go through an exemption due to these square footage of the structures. So that is something that staff would have to coordinate with our environmental coordinator to make a determination. At what level of environmental review would this project trigger? As far as parking, it's gonna be determined on the use of the buildings. So once we have that determination, we'll be able to verify the minimum parking stalls required. But preliminary, we can state that a planter will be required between every 8 stalls. And also, as shown, planters at the end of the rows. There's also landscaping requirements on the building perimeter that's facing parking lots. You would require 20% of that facade to have landscape planters. Signage, any signage proposed complying with chapter 305. And you're allowed up to 3 square feet of linear sign, up to 3 square feet of signage, depending on the linear foot of building frontage. That's all of the information. And I believe the property to the north is residential, so there's gonna be a requirement if there's not already a block wall there.
Yeah, there's a block wall
Okay.
right here.
If not, then that would be something that could be triggered. But at this time, that's planning's preliminary comments on the proposed project. Next, we'll move along with Javier Sanchez with our engineering department.
Okay. For engineering, we're looking at these improvements and, I don't know if you've seen some nearby developments like Smart and Final and down the road by Superburger, but, the plan for Olive is a major arterial, which it's operating now in the traffic lanes. But here, the general plan requires the landscape strip up front and then the sidewalk. So there'd have to be some revisions to the frontage to accommodate that.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so what that would trigger is, it looks like there may not be enough room for these parkings as they're configured, so they may need to turn the angled. With the thought of this being the entrance and not the exit, kind of like what the arrows already have here. It would be like these shift and then they'd angle and the same right here. Looking at streetlight spacing, there'd be one required somewhere in the middle there.
Be what required in the middle?
A streetlight. Yeah, streetlight. Would be, that's pretty much the extent of engineering comment. This looks like improvement.
Thank you, Javier. Next with Nathan with our fire department.
I've already been working with you and with Gary. It looks like everything looks good for us. The only thing is this the actual enclosure or is the enclosure behind this? For the trash, it's for the trash, right? So
there's curb reuse for you guys.
we just want to make sure that it's shifted this way because we need 120-foot hammerhead up here, not just for the fire truck turnaround, but also for the trash truck. So just making sure we have that 120-foot turnaround, so we can go in, back up and turn around. But otherwise, having them shifted like that, I'm good with. So
Which way are you having them shift it, Clay?
they're shifted to the south. Notice how they're 50 feet off that northern property line.
Okay,
That's a triggers, if they move beyond that for the construction, that would trigger a second fire hydrant because of our 300-foot maximum spacing.
Okay, so you're having to move it down?
Yeah, they moved no, just the buildings down. The trash enclosure I'm okay with.
Oh, okay, okay,
I'm having them move the trash enclosure, shifted to the west, which gives us that hammerhead turnaround at the top.
okay, perfect. Because that was my concern also.
Thank you, Clayton. Next, with our building division, with James.
No, I think you mentioned connectivity, between the buildings. Nothing during PRC that I can think of.
Will that extend, James, just with these new ones or all the way out to?
Well, I think there's a path of travel on the site plan right from the street. Oscar, you said it'd kind of be considered like a shopping.
Yeah, once you have 4 or more
Yeah.
uses, then it's considered a commercial center for the Porterville Development Ordinance.
So what triggers the 4 or more uses?
We have 4 buildings.
Okay.
Right, and 4 different uses, so that would be, it would be considered a commercial center for the development code.
So yeah, jumping back to.
So yeah, there's this, is this what you were referencing?
Yeah, it starts from the sidewalk, but then it would have to connect,
To building A,
yeah.
and
like
then
the-
maybe jump across to building B. Would that be?
Somehow it would just have to have connectivity.
And then there's, this is, what is this here? A pedestrian walkway possibly, just have it connect
Mhm.
down? Jump across?
Well, actually, it's gonna be 3 because isn't that a separate parcel though?
No, not yet.
But we're working on making it a separate.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is what,
Okay,
yeah, so
yeah,
currently,
we're going by the information we have right now, but
yeah,
you're gonna do the construction after the lot split.
Correct.
Okay.
so yes, currently it would be, but if there was a land division, potentially, you'll get around that requirement.
Yeah, okay, so,
Yeah, so that's your intent. We already know that, yeah.
yeah, so that should be done, the civil engineer said in about a week,
Okay,
so. Maybe I'm better off submitting that to you first, getting the lot split done and then carrying on with building the 2 buildings in the back.
yeah, and then we'll review that through building permit review and make sure that you meet our minimum standards at that time, depending what's being proposed. But one of the big items would be the environmental review for the project. Because as proposed, it exceeds 10,000 square feet.
So what would be the difference? I mean, if we try to move forward to building these 2 buildings before we did the lot split, what would be the?
Well, for projects, right, there's an environmental review for the projects, and there are some exemptions that we're able to utilize if there's if the project is under a certain square footage. For example, 10,000 square feet in total square footage for the property, with the addition of, what was it, 8,900 and the other 3,500 square feet building, it exceeds that number, so we wouldn't be able to use that some of those exemptions under CEQA. So it may trigger a environmental document. Unless we're able to make these buildings under that criteria, then potentially we could try to look into an exemption.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to do that.
Right, Jeff, if you wanna chime in on that? If I said that correctly? In regards to CEQA exemptions?
I think he's good with what you.
Okay, but yeah,
I think if you do that lot split, like you said, that's when we follow with that. The building plan review is gonna take us at least 2 weeks, if not a little bit longer than that. And that's if there's no changes You know what I'm saying? So, and then that gets you out of having to do that connectivity and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay, so
So
I think better off submitting this.
do that first.
Do this
Yeah.
first.
And then that avoids a bunch of extra concrete and what is it, like a half an inch per how many feet? It has to be level, the drop and all that for that. Assessment.
For the path?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing.
yeah, so it just avoids having to do all of that stuff.
Never seen it here. Now, when we do this, and we do this lot, the hot air is just gonna still trigger,
What was that?
No, that's
The
street
light?
lamp.
is that gonna trigger the light or no?
Yeah, because these are gonna have a pretty good valuation on them,
Yeah, but this is, like I said, oh, I'm only building this right here, it's for my personal use. Even this building up here, at that time, these two buildings are gonna be for my personal use. They're not gonna be leased out to somebody else.
Mhm.
The only other thing on that, when you split those two lots, is making sure that you just record like a public safety access easement.
Yeah, there's.
So that if in the future that other building gets sold, nobody can separate our entrance and exit or exit.
Yeah, no, they're doing all that.
Yeah, just making sure that
That can be done.
yeah, making sure that that's all recorded. That just protects all of us in the future.
Yeah, they're doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing.
Well, I can look into the valuation and see. So be a requirement.
Next with our public works, with our field services. With refuse, with Brianna. Any
Um,
additional comments?
no, not really. But we will need a release of liability signed before we can service that. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Next with Joe, field services, streets.
Yeah. No comments from me.
Thank you. Next with our police department with Mark. Any comments on the project?
No comment, sir.
Thank you. So that's all of staff's preliminary comments on the project. Does the applicant have any questions for staff at this time?
Darren, did we have you put a Knox box when you did the change in occupancy on the building you're splitting off? Did we put a Knox box on that? Can't remember, it's been so.
No,
many years.
we haven't.
We'll need to put one out there. We'll put one on one of the street facing buildings and that way we can put a key to the gate and a key to the other buildings.
Okay.
For in the event of fire, we have to go at 2 o'clock in the morning. We can just, we don't have to cut through your metal doors.
So do you need that put on there now?
No, it'll be at the time of construction.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it at the time of construction.
Well, so this fence is gonna come down, that existing fence is there. Now.
Okay,
That's gonna come down and there's not a fence gonna be put back up.
okay, so we'll just need one Knox box there, basically, so we have keys to the buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or we might have a fence, I don't know.
If if we do it, we'll put the Knox box on the outside and then put the key
we'll have
inside.
keys to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, sounds good. So we'll compile a letter outlining each department's comments on the project. Did
Well,
you
I
get
think we
that?
should probably put it all on hold until this is done.
Yeah, that'll be your decision.
Yeah, I don't wanna waste you guys' time, I mean.
No, we'll provide comment based off the project that was reviewed today. And then, however you want to proceed based off those comments, then it'll be your decision.
Okay.
But it shouldn't hinder the other project.
Well, when this splits, this is gonna change the square footage on that property, right, on this property line. Is that what you're saying, Clayton, something like that?
Well, no, so what he's saying is that the combination of these 3 buildings is excess of the 10,000 square feet, but it was 4 or more uses. What you're doing is you're splitting off this.
Yeah, correct.
So once this is split off, this is no longer needing an accessible path of travel between all of the buildings and the public right of way. right? Which is an additional expense for you to do an accessible path to here, and then back to here, and then back to the street. That's just an additional expense that if, by waiting until that lot split's done, which you're already in the process of,
Yeah.
you avoid that additional expense on the concrete.
Okay.
So.
All right,
We're good.
that was good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the application. So yeah, so I'll be expecting the PRC letter in about 2 weeks time frame from today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, that's good. Have a good day.
Thank you.
So with that, we're gonna go ahead and end Project Review Committee at 2:02 PM.
But then what they're saying is wait until I do that.
And then we'll move along with Parcel Map Committee. All right. So welcome to Parcel Map Committee. We'll go ahead and start Parcel Map Committee at 2:02 PM. First, I'm gonna go ahead and do roll call here. I'm gonna do myself, Oscar Cepeda, the chairperson for Parcel Map Committee, and also the associate planner. We're joined by Javier Sanchez, our engineering and project management director. Clayton Dignam also joins us as our fire marshal with the fire department. Jeff O'Neill joins us as our city planner. And then we also have James Wickersham joining us as our chief building official. We're also joined by Rocio Mejia, our assistant planner. Garrett Keller also joins us as our planning technician. At this time, I'm gonna go ahead and open oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the committee on any matter pertaining to Parcel Map Committee. Seeing no members of the public present in person, are there any members joining us online that would like to address the Parcel Map Committee?
This is Crystal Sanchez. I'm here for Miguel. So I'll be here to help answer questions, but I don't have anything to say for the oral communications.
Thank you, Crystal. Welcome. Okay, hearing no other comments, I'm gonna go ahead and close oral communications. So for today's Parcel Map Committee, we do have one item, which is parcel map, tentative parcel map 2025-001. Let me go ahead and share my screen here of the project. So we're reviewing tentative parcel map 2025-001, which is to divide the existing 3.12 acre lot into two parcels. Parcel 1 being 17,178, parcel 2 being 120,156 square feet. The subject site is located at 1525 West Most Grand Avenue. And the zoning of the property is low density residential. The property also has a general plan land use of low density residential. And with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Jeff for the parcel map.
By the way, Oscar, I never received the agenda or anything related to this meeting, so.
Thank you. We'll let our admin aide know that you didn't receive the information.
Okay, so staff has presented the information regarding the general plan and the zoning and described the construction of the parcels. I don't have any additional questions related to this. I don't know if any of the either two members do. However, in the event that they do, I mean, feel free to ask away. If there are no questions from the parcel map committee, then we'll end up opening this hearing to the public and getting comment from the applicant and anybody else who's interested.
Hearing no,
I don't,
Nothing.
I don't have any comments
Okay.
or questions.
Okay, well then, we'll go ahead and open it to the public. Anybody else online wanting to make a comment? No, hearing none. I guess we'll close the hearing and bring it back to the parcel map committee for consideration. I mean, I would move that we approve the parcel map with staff's recommendation, subject to the conditions that have been discussed.
All second.
Very good. Then do we have a vote? I'm in favor.
aye.
Aye.
Very good. We have 3 ayes. So the motion carries. And I will turn it back to Mr. Zepeda.
So yeah, the tentative parcel map 2025-001 has been approved by parcel map committee with the conditions of approval. And I think that's gonna be it. I'm gonna go ahead and end parcel map committee at 2:08 PM. Thank you.